Hey plant fam! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jacqueline. This is part of my jungle, I guess. It's the kitchen. Not the best background in the world, but we're sitting at the table because today we have a lot of rehabbing to do. So if you're not new here, thank you for coming back to my channel. Yeah, so if you watched my most recent live stream, then you'll understand what has been going on with a company called Urban Leaf Shop. And if you guys didn't catch my live stream, but you saw all of my unboxings with them, then this shouldn't be very surprising that a lot of them are looking pretty sad. So I have a lot of my Hoyas here from them, a couple of Dischidia as well, just the one that's still alive. Yeah, and a lot of people let me know that they got their plants from them with either rotting roots or very little roots in a big container, which was the case for this Hoya Lyi, L-Y-I. You guys would have seen on my Instagram stories, I literally pulled it right out of there. There was no roots. There's like 2 little baby roots. So I put that one remaining strand in water with a couple of little pieces of leca at the bottom, just helps to keep the cuttings in there. I've had my little string of pearls propagating in here, so I just threw this Hoya in here as well. And as you can see, I'm sorry if you can hear the music outside. I love when people stop at the light here and just blast their music. That's always fun. So this is the roots. These were the roots that they felt were appropriate to put in this, like, what, 4-inch container? They're not even at the light. They're just sitting in the fucking parking lot playing copyright music. Okay, I think the concert's done. I closed the window and you can literally still hear it. So hopefully they decided to turn down their music because it's really obnoxious when you're in a parking lot. Anyway, back to the original irritating topic of this video, which is who puts something with roots like this. These are the roots, and it was also like rooted over here, which was really bizarre. It was like they just plopped a cutting. They were like, hey, look at that. Here you go, $80 just for you. Like, that's legitimately what I feel like they did. They cut a plant and they just like threw it on top of some dirt and they were like, here you go, here's your Hoya. Like, how you sell this as a plant is baffling to me. This isn't even a rooted cutting. I wouldn't even sell this as a rooted cutting. I'd call this semi-rooted, and I would not charge the amount of money that I paid for it. I don't remember off the top of my head how much I paid for it, but it wasn't cheap. This is not a common Hoya. So these leaves are not like super happy, but they're not dead yet either. So I'm just really hoping that I can get some roots, because these ones are rotted. The very little roots that they do have are rotted. One way to tell if your roots are rotted is when you tug on them gently and they disappear. So that's just crazy to me. And for those of you who didn't know, I did open up a claim with PayPal. He fought the claim and I lost. Don't ask me how, because this is just completely unacceptable and I've never lost a claim before, but he probably was like, the plant's just thirsty. She just doesn't know how to take care of plants. Like, she's really stupid. What a noob. You know what I mean? Like, as if I don't have 200 Hoyas in my possession, because this is the original, this is the plant we're talking about. I had to chop it because it was rotting at the base. You can see that stem is rotted, and then I cut it. And this was the first node. You could see the leaves are still really wrinkly. This is exactly how the plant came to me. It barely had a root ball. Like, this, if this was the size of the root ball of a plant, I would not be putting it in this container. Anybody who knows anything about Hoyas and anybody who knows anything because they've watched my videos knows that Hoya like to be in a small container. So this is probably as big as I would have went with a root ball this size. So yeah, they're basically like getting away with selling cuttings as established plants or imports, because these could be import roots, as established plants. So this completely rotted at the base, and I took 2 cuttings. I don't really anticipate this one doing anything. The stems are okay, but the leaves are not supposed to look like that. So I'm going to put both of these into a mossy perlite mix. This is a Hoya Coaching Island. I paid $75 for this plant. And this is the only plant that I opened up a claim for. I did not ask for a refund on anything else besides this. And I was not even going to ask for a refund. I just wanted a solution to the issues that I've been having and the issues that I was hearing that you guys were having. So I do have a lot of screen grabs of comments and DMs that I got permission to share with you guys to show you just how many people reached out to me and my friend Tessa to let us know that they had the same or a similar experience with Urban Leaf Shop. And he said that he's never had an issue before, or little to no issues before. And it's just another lie, because some of these people that reached out to me had this problem with them over a year ago. Some people had this problem, they said, a few months ago. Some people had this problem with their most recent order. So this has been going on for a long time. Why I was the first person to have to say something about it is baffling to me. You guys, I really, really, really need you to speak up for yourselves. Like, you're not a burden. You are not being annoying. You paid for something, and if you are disappointed with what you paid for and you don't feel like you got what you paid for, tell them. Tell them. Even if it's a week later and the plant is dying, tell them. They are going to help you if they're not jerks. Okay? So there is that. This is my Hoya Coaching Island. I am going to put it into some moss. Let me put this one back in the water. I don't even know which side was sort of rooted. It's just a disaster, you guys. It really is. Like, I don't know how this is acceptable. The first plant that I had an issue with is this Hoya Jennifer. Came to me the same way, with like literally no turgidity in its leaves at all. I took cuttings off of it thinking that the plant was just thirsty, right? I was like, oh, it was in a box for a couple of days, like it just needs to be watered. So I took some cuttings, not really thinking much of it, and I sold a few of those cuttings because I usually don't have an issue rooting my Hoya. It only takes about 2 weeks to get them rooted enough for me to feel comfortable selling them. So a lot of the times what I'll do is I will sell them and then ship them in 2 weeks when they're ready. So I sold a few of these cuttings on my website, and then within days, literal days, I went to go check on them in the prop boxes, and they were just completely shriveled up into nothing. I was like, what? Like big, beautiful cuttings. And I was completely heartbroken. I had to go back and apologize to everybody, which was not fun. I hate having to do that. And I mean, I never have to do that. I learned my lesson now to just like give things a little while before selling them. I just never had an issue with it before. So I was under the impression that this was a Florida grown Hoya and that there was no reason why I wouldn't be able to immediately chop and propagate it like I can with every other Hoya that's established already that I buy from Florida. So yeah, there was that. I reached out to him to let him know, and I showed him pictures and videos and let him know that I repotted it. The roots looked okay. I didn't have a reason to believe that the roots were in bad shape when I repotted it, and I put it into my chunky mix thinking that like it just needed some time. So I put it in my chunky Hoya mix, put it in the greenhouse, and kind of just left it alone. Checked on it, watered it like the rest of my plants, and it just never bounced back. It still looks exactly the same. It hasn't died, it hasn't lost any leaves, it still has a peduncle, and I'm just 2 peduncles. I'm just really, really hoping that if I take this out and try and reroot it in a mossy perlite mix, that will be able to salvage her. So you guys should check out my friend Tessa's channel as well. A Cat in the Garden. I always forget what her thing is. She's a newer channel, and she actually purchased the same plant from them, and she's going to be posting a video on her channel as well where she's doing the same thing and trying to rehab her plants. So I definitely recommend going over there and checking out her video. If it's up by the time that I upload this, I'll link it for you up above so that you can check out her side of the story, her experience separate from mine. She will probably share some of the same like screen grabs as me and everything too, but it's definitely worth a listen to hear it from somebody else and not just me. It made me feel a lot better, even though I feel bad for you guys, obviously, and I very deeply apologize for ever recommending this shop, and I take full responsibility for that, and I can admit that I made a mistake and that I should have had better judgment. But that is why I'm here letting you know what's happening and keeping it real with you, because I'm a person. I'm not always going to be perfect. My judgment might not always be the best, which is really aggravating because the amount of information that I know about like narcissism and cluster B personality traits, you would think I'd be able to spot them better when they're right in front of my face. Because like homie might not be a narcissist. I'm not a psychologist. I can't diagnose people, but I can read. And he does have some issues, for sure. There was a lot of gaslighting going on. There was a lot of victim blaming going on. So we are going to talk about gaslighting. I don't know if you guys saw my repot and let's chat about narcissistic love bombing that I did a while back before I moved. I meant to turn that into a series, but I never did sit down and film the second one, which was going to be about gaslighting. So I feel like this is a sign that we need to talk about it. So if you guys have any questions or stories, anything you want to share about gaslighting, leave it in the comments and I will try my best to include it in the next video. So the most depressing one from them though probably is this Hoya Croniana black leaves. I mean, whatever leaves it has left. So my friend Morgan let me know after I showed her this that it's probably rotting and that I need to get it out of this soil like ASAP. Obviously I didn't want to move it out of this pot when I got it because it's on a trellis. I'm going to keep it on the trellis as it is because I don't want to risk these leaves falling off more than they already are. But I am going to have to take this out and just stick the whole thing. I mean, it's just these roots, you could see them coming out of the bottom, but they're completely just shriveled up to nothing. So it's not surprising. I have that. I have my Hoya Dakie from them that also looks like trash that dropped like 4 or 5 leaves. So I'm going to be getting into here and trying to, yeah, these roots literally just, they fall apart. They legitimately just fall apart. Like you can like pull on them and they just come right out of the pot. And like, why is the root ball all the way up at the top? Like he really had the audacity to imply that I didn't know what I was doing with my Hoyas, when clearly he has no idea what he's doing with Hoyas. Because why? For the love of God, I do not understand why you would put something with 2 tiny little roots into this big 4-inch container. It's baffling to me. So I bought this Croniana black leaves from them that I think is from a different nursery, a different, based on the mix that it's in, I can guess where it might be from. Some of you might know where I'm getting at with that. But we're not naming names because we don't know for sure. But this one that I bought from them, this is a Croniana Black Leaves, was totally fine, right? Came to me in absolute perfect condition, hasn't dropped a leaf, nothing. It's in this cocoa mix, which is a different mix than these. All of the rest of them really that I've gotten are in a different mix. This one's in a cocoa mix as well, and this one is also fine. This is my Dischidia parasitica. But the rest of them that look really sad are in a different mix. So either they're propagating and throwing it in this mix and not letting them root well enough before they send, or they are fresh imports and they're just repotting them right away into this mix, as opposed to these ones in the cocoa mix that are coming to them exactly like this and they're just flipping them around from a local wholesaler. So that is my guess, my educated guess based on the information that I have and from everything that you guys have told me. You guys have really spilled some tea that I can't even share here because it's not my direct experience, so anything that I say would just be hearsay, and we're not really about that here. We're going to talk about exactly what happened to me, which I already explained to you in the live, so I'm not going to go through that again, but I did want to let you know what has happened since then, because I have gotten a lot of messages from you guys. I have them on my computer here too, in case I want to pull some of them up. I even have some pictures that somebody sent me of their alocasias in real time. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine on Instagram in real time, and she was like, I just got 2 alocasias from them, let me go check on them. And not even 10 minutes later she comes back and she's like, oh my god. And I was like, oh no, what? She sent me a picture of these 2 alocasias, I'll put it on the screen now, just looking completely fried. And if you notice, all of the other plants in this photo look fine. So like, it's not her environment. She knows how to take care of alocasias. So like, it's just these 2 plants, right? Which makes no sense. She only had them for like a week, a little over a week maybe, I don't remember. But she sent me a picture of what they looked like when she got them, and they looked fine. So a lot of the time these plants, I'm not realizing, are really sad underneath the surface. Like this Daiquie looks fine, right? Like the plant itself dropped a few leaves upon arrival, which like Daiquies don't ship great, so like to some degree I kind of anticipated that, but like it was still very disappointing. The leaves just look like crap too, they're damaged. And now I really wouldn't be surprised if when I get in there and look at the roots, they're just like non-existent and the plant was never really gonna grow or thrive in such a large container. Like Hoyas don't want to be in a large container. They like to be cozy in their pot. I don't like using the word root bound, because to be root bound means that like you have more root than you have medium, and that's not a good thing. The roots still like need to have their medium to grow in. They can't just all be root. So I don't like saying that Hoyas like to be root bound for that reason, but they do like to be cozy. I like to say they like to be cozy, like wrapped up in a sweater inside their pot, you know, like they like to be swaddled. It's really what it comes down to. So having a root ball, again, this size in this pot is just amateur. It's amateur, honestly. Like this shows me that you either don't care or you don't know what you're doing. And if I implied that he didn't know what he was doing, girl, that would have been another argument and a half. So he did unblock me. I was blocked. He did unblock me, and then I asked him if he was going to refund me or any of the other people that he screwed over, and his response was weird. He said something about showing my cards, and I was like, okay. I didn't even understand it. I had to ask David, I'm like, what is he talking about? And he was like, he thinks that you're like manipulating people into complaining to him. So I was like, yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not the kind of person who tells people what they should and shouldn't do, or how they should or should not feel or think about something. If anything, I was just empowering some really sweet people who are arguably too nice into standing up for themselves and for saying something and for asking for a refund. So, okay. I do have a bunch of this stuff pulled up so I can talk about it as we go, but also this Hoya finlaysonii I was a little disappointed by, because the plant itself is fine. The leaves are stiff the way that leaves should be for a Hoya, but when I can't even leave, I don't know how it was even in the pot, because look, how did you even have it in there? They must have taped it down. I don't even know. But the bizarre part about this is it's just rooted in moss, and the roots don't look good at all. I'm literally pulling the roots off of it. There's barely any roots even in here. The moss is deceptive. And then the rest of the pot is charcoal and leca. I don't know, it's just really sloppy and really gross, and I'm baffled that they tried to sell this as a full-on established plant when it's obviously just a cutting. Am I the only one who thinks that's weird? You should disclaim to your customers that it's just a ball of moss. And have fun getting the moss off of the roots without ripping half the roots off too. Which is why I prefer a mossy perlite mix, which is what we're going to be putting all of these in today. So I just got stuff all in my perlite. Some pre-rinsed perlite here. I definitely recommend something with drainage so you could scoop it. Make sure you cover your face. Perlite dust is really bad for your lungs to breathe in. And rinse it through really thoroughly to get all the dust out. And moist perlite is going to be a lot easier to work with than dry perlite. And then I also have my big bowl of pre-moistened moss. Pre-moistened moss. I don't even know where to start, honestly. I want to start with this Croniana because it is just sad. And I'm sure that the roots are just as depressing. So I did want to read some of your stuff. I've got a comment here from Nita that says, thank you for sharing this particular topic. I have had the same issues. Appreciate your honesty and content. That was on my unboxing video. The hell? Oh my god, there's all these little fertilizer balls. Oh my god, there's so many. Why are there so many? Oh god, these roots are terrible. Can you see them? I'm able to just literally rip them right off with no effort. That's awful, you guys. Hi, vey. Alright, I've got my repotting mat here. I just didn't do the corners, which probably I should, because now there's little fertilizer balls everywhere. These roots look like they're all just completely shot. As soon as I told Morgan what it looked like, she goes, the roots are rotting. And I was like, I hate you. I hate you. You're right. Look at them. They're all just brown spaghettis. And they come right off of the plant. Do you see them? Ugh, this is depressing. I can't even get this trellis out of here. How am I gonna do this? Oh my god, you guys. This is bad. There's there's not gonna be any roots left. I'm trying to be as gentle as possible, but they're just string. They're little hairs that just keep breaking. This is disgusting. And there's just like a rock in it. Why is there are we just taking dirt from like the ground? That's what my mom does. I had to buy her potting soil and convince her to stop just using dirt from outside, that it's not the same. She's like, it's dirt, it's just dirt. I'm like, no, it's not the same. It's too dense. This is way too dense for a Hoya to be in, by the way. There's like, what, a tiny bit of perlite? You guys, I pot my Hoyas in like chunks. They don't like this. They like being airy, which is probably why they're rotting. Hey, I'm getting dirt all in my moss. No, gross. Gross. There's like no roots. They're just literally falling right off. Remember what I said? If the roots come right off when you're barely tugging on them, they're rotting. And that's honestly kind of what happens to import roots, which is why I asked if these were imports. And yeah, he was not happy. Not happy about that, which I think is like a pretty like legitimate question. As a buyer, you know, you have the right to know where your plants have come from so that you know how to take care of them, because the way that you take care of an import plant is different. And if he's not going to be re-rooting them, then you deserve to know that you're going to have to re-root the plant, and then maybe you don't want it because it's not worth the money, it's not worth the risk. If you're selling it for like regular retail price and you're not selling it at an import price, because import plants are cheaper. They're cheaper for a reason. Yeah, so these are the roots. And they don't look good. They look terrible. Like I could easily pull all of them off, and I'm trying to be gentle. And I'm trying to get all the dirt off, and then get it set up in some moss and perlite. It's like, what am I even gonna put it in? I could use tiny containers for these. Let's see. Stacy says, my Hoya Baiabua from the auction is on the struggle bus. She lost 3 leaves within the first 2 days. However, she still has 4 leaves. And then in the live, she let me know that it dropped another leaf. So another person DM'd me and said, I'm sorry, I hear you. I'm a Hoya person myself, so I was surprised they came so wet. I've never had one come wet in soil like that. To be fair, many of them are top notch. Maybe it's just the acclimation. This was my first shipment, so I don't really know. I very rarely lose a Hoya cutting, but these 2 in soil are looking rough. Girl, take them out of the soil, they're probably rotting. Another person, these are all different people. I left the auctions recently, and so did my friends, because our plants arrived in really poor shape or with pests. One Hoya had mealies, and they denied that it came from them. I was like, bro, I had it isolated in the bathroom. The mealies were coming up from the soil. Thankfully, I haven't had any mealy bugs from them, but that's nasty. Another person said they had multiple bad experiences from them: mealies, ants, soaking wet, rotting plants. And then if you watch Tessa's video, you can see, I'm not going to tell you her whole ordeal. You need to go watch her video, because the way that he spoke to her was just like absolutely insane. And then he blocked her too, which is very mature. He wanted her essentially to ship the plant back to him, and then if the plant arrived to him in the exact condition she had it in now, even though it's rotting, then he would refund her. So she was like, wait, so you know that, like, you know this plant is struggling, and if I send it again in another box for days, like, it's gonna arrive worse than it is now, and then you're not gonna refund me. Like, he's literally just trying to get the plant back from her to see if he can resell it to somebody else, and then never give her her money back, and her still not have the plant that she paid for. Is that not crazy to you? Definitely go and watch her video, because it's crazy. Another person said, good for you for standing up for yourself against the BS. I only ordered once from them and luckily didn't spend a lot. My plant, I ordered 2 and they forgot to send me one, also declined immediately, but I blamed it on outside factors. I tried to save a piece by propagating in water. It stayed alive in water and immediately died when I put it in substrate. Like, how? I don't know. Where do they get plants that self-destruct like this? I don't understand. Either way, I unfollowed them as soon as I saw your post. I will not support a business that responds to customers this way. Shame on them. Yeah, even people who didn't have a bad experience, when they saw the way that he was speaking to me and to other women, were just like, this is unacceptable. Like, I'm not gonna give somebody like that my business. So, like I said, not here to tell people what to do, but I am more than happy to help steer you in the right direction away from people in the plant community that really genuinely don't care. They really don't care. So let's get this plant in here because I feel like this is the only pot it's gonna fit in. Such little roots. Just need to mix up some moss and some perlite. I got freaking dirt all up in it, which is always fun. But I'm like actually genuinely baffled. I've never had anybody like just not even say sorry. Like, I'm sorry that the plant arrived so bad. Like, not once. Like, it was always just like blaming me. Even immediately with the Hoya Jennifer, he was like, oh, well, you know, let's just keep an eye on it. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I was used to people like offering to replace or refund a sad plant, but he was just like, all right, let me know how it goes. And I'm like, well, I'm telling you it's not going well, but okay. And then when the Croniana Black came looking like this, I'm looking for it and I'm holding it in my hand. I'm fine, everything is fine. When it came looking like this, I was just like, what am I supposed to do with this thing? He was like, well, I grew it outside in Florida, so it needs high humidity. And I was like, do you not acclimate your plants before you send them? And then he got really pissed off at me for asking, like, for questioning his acclimation process. I would scroll back and like screenshot it, but honestly, I don't even want to look at some of the things that he said to me are just enraging. But yeah, I was just like, do you like you know you need to acclimate your plants to regular humidity before you send them to people who don't have 100% humidity. Like, and it's a Hoya. It doesn't need to be in humidity for it to grow. Like, it doesn't. Like, some Hoyas do better in humidity, but they don't necessarily need it to not, they don't need it to not look like this. This looks like crap. Look at these leaves. They're so depressing. I'm just constantly pulling them off. Anyway, I put a little bit of mossy perlite mix in here. I should put more perlite because I hate when the roots get all stuck. And I'm just gonna try and shove it in here. Diagonal, and do my best to backfill this. But yeah, I was, if anything, more mad that he was speaking to my friend that way. Like, I can handle it. You talk to me however you want to, and I'll tell you to go F yourself. But I really, really, really get defensive over the people that I care about, and that includes you guys, which is part of the reason why I spoke up and said something once I saw that so many of you had a similar experience. I felt like it was my duty to do that as somebody who recommended and worked closely with this particular shop. Because it's not like he didn't know me. It's not like we hadn't talked. It's not like he hadn't like thanked me for the videos, and he never thanked me for like giving him a bunch of business, but I'm sure he's not happy now that there's like nobody bidding on his plants in the auctions, but that's not really my problem. If you have bad plants and bad customer service, like, people aren't gonna want to shop with you. So I feel bad for new people who don't know any better, but all we can really do is try and like share these things with each other so that it doesn't happen. to somebody else. That's why I encourage you guys to share this with your plant groups, share it to your Instagram stories, whatever you need to do, wherever you have your plant friends, just to give them a heads up, let them know that they shouldn't waste their money on this shop, because it's not good. It's really not good at all. So that's what we're working with. This massive trellis, I had to put it like kind of on a diagonal across here, and this mossy perlite mix. It's a really big plant for such a little pot, but it doesn't really have any roots, so hopefully it'll grow some new ones. I really hope so, because I was perfectly fine with my little Croniana black. That's, you know, I got it for me, but then when I saw this big one, I was like, oh, I can cut it and propagate it and share it with you guys. Yeah. So that's not happening anytime soon. Hopefully I can get her to bounce back, and maybe in the spring. They are a little bit of a pain in the butt. Like, they don't ship great. Like, it's kind of expected for it to not look great, but it shouldn't look like this either. I mean, the leaves literally have nothing to them, which is not normal. There are some that are better than others, but this is a sign of bad roots. So there's that. Let me move this one over here. What are we gonna do next? Got some little cups over here. That's the smallest I have. I need to order more plastic cups. Ooh, my battery is low. Let me read the rest of these to you. Someone said 100% I knew something was up with them when on one of the lives someone asked a question about a tissue culture, like how did they culture it? The woman, I forgot her name, read the question, then looked awkwardly off camera at Erin, like what should I say? Then back at the camera and totally changed the subject. I was like, wow, if that's not a red flag, I've never seen one. Another person messaged me and said, okay, I just realized that my Retusa I got this summer is from them. Yeah, it's been in a prop box for a while, but it was going... It's been in a prop box for a while, but yeah, it was going bad 2 weeks after I got it. 2 weeks after she got it. Pulled it out of the soil and the roots were completely mush. Sound familiar? The soil he used was very heavy and peaty. I never complained as it was 2 weeks later and the plant looked good upon receipt, but this was totally the seller I got it from. You guys, if it looks like it's dying after a week or two in your care, it's probably not because of you. Like, if you know what you're doing with a plant, and this is a plant that was shipped domestically, like, it's probably not you. But I get it. Like, I blamed myself too, and like, I allowed him to gaslight me and make me believe that it was my fault. So did Tessa. So it's just like really frustrating. It's really frustrating that he keeps getting away with the same thing because people are like, oh, well, you know, I guess it was just me. And then if you even try and talk to him about it, he's gonna just validate that. He's going to validate that it's you. And it's not you. I promise you, it's not you. It's 100% him and his crappy plants. So I was gonna be nice. I was trying to offer him some feedback. I sent him some of the messages that you guys sent me, and I was like, hey, like, these are your customers. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, are you ready? I asked him, are you ready to be an adult and have a conversation and take some feedback? Guessing the answer is no, because then he re-blocked me after that. So I just stuck my Hoya, or what's left of my Hoya Coaching Island, into this cup with the moss perlite mix. I just need to write on the cup what it is. I don't forget, because it looks like it might lose its leaves, and then I'll be like, what is this? Coaching Island, which I'm assuming is a place where it came from. So hopefully, oh, you guys pray for this plant. This was a big wish list Hoya for me. and it was not cheap. So there's that. What do we want to dig into next here, you guys? I'm like afraid. I'm genuinely afraid to open up this Dakier, but I'm going to take this out and show you the roots, and then I'm going to cut this video short because I'm just going to do the same thing with the rest of these Hoya, the Hoya Jennifer. I'm going to take the I don't know, I feel like maybe I'll leave the Dischidia in here since it's in this chunky mix and it seems to be okay. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing to all of them so I can show you. You guys, you're witnessing this in real time. You just watched me pull that out of the pot for the first time ever. This trellis is gorgeous, but let's take it off because it's just making it a little bit more difficult. These are from Botany Bae, by the way. Highly recommend. My favorites. I will leave her Etsy down below for you guys if you want to check it out. Yeah, so this whole tendril just like died back and it dropped a leaf. 1, 2, 3, 4. It dropped a bunch of leaves from down here. These empty nodes, you could see where the leaves like broke off from. So yeah, you just watched me pull this up out of here. Why is it in this massive container if this is the roots? There aren't even any roots. There's barely any roots. You guys, please don't buy from this shop. I'm so sorry that I recommended it. Like, this is bad. This is really bad. And if you got something bad from them in the last few weeks, like, please don't be afraid to message him. He'll probably block you and call you inappropriate things, but take them out and check the roots. This is unacceptable. That's completely unacceptable. That's terrible. That's absolutely, those are the roots. And this was the pot it was in. Does that make sense to you? Let that sink into your brain. This is like what, 5-6 inch container? 5? I want to say it's 5. And these are the roots. And what more do I need to say, right? Like, it's just crazy. I got another message here. This makes sense because the plants I got from them have been dying off. A separate person said, now I know when I got the last Hoya, like it legit came right out of the pot, no roots or anything. I've ordered a few plants with them. These are all separate people again. I've ordered a few plants with them. I can say one plant I got died in a week. It was a Hoya. The leaves were falling off out of the box. Another person said, I had a plant that almost died, that died almost immediately too. So people like replying to my stories. I thought I was the only one. I bought from him in the past, and each plant was DOA, dead on arrival. Do we sense a theme? Like, this is crazy to me how many I have. Hi, I just saw your story. My Tycon I got last year from Urban Leaf Shop died after 2 weeks. I thought I overwatered it. The Illigorium yellow died, which is a Hoya. He replaced it and the replacement never grew. What's up with his plants? Girl, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I can only speculate. Another person said, oh my god, this is horrible. I've gotten a few plants from their auction and they've always been kind of questionable. They were smaller plants and they're auctioned as plants, but when they came, they had very little roots. I stopped purchasing from them because I had to basically rehab or reroot every plant I got from them. I also won one of their giveaway plants and it died within a few days of arrival. I occasionally check into their auctions with the intention to give them another chance if anything caught my eye, but I am definitely not supporting them anymore. I'm sorry this happened to you and thank you for sharing your story. I hope PayPal issues a refund. That was a response. These are from my friend Tessa, so you're probably going to see them on her video too. In a group chat she shared, and they said, I personally never had issues with Aaron or other people, but it was 50-50 on the plants. I usually got a large plant, but usually rot because the soil was wet. Another person said I bought it at Shittia a while back because it was hard to find and it pretty much died right after I got it. They really don't rehab it enough before selling. A whole separate person said, dang, I thought my allocation died because it wasn't alocasia, but now I'm wondering if it was a fresh import. I said, probably. Was it in terrible soil? Did you have to repot it? She said, well, I let it dry and then watered it like I would any other plant, like you would any plant you assume is like a regular established plant that you get in the mail. You let it sit for a while before you water it. Totally normal. And then the leaves dropped and curled after she watered it. So a week later, I tried and moved it to water with a bubbler, which is how I rehab all of my alocasias, but it was too late, it fully rotted, and I wasn't even able to save the corm. So this person sounds like they know what they're talking about when it comes to alocasias, because they legit, they put a bubbler in their water propagations, and she wasn't even able to save it. So, yeah. I have a couple more here, I think. Oh no, these are just the pictures that I showed you earlier. Yeah, so that's really that. I am gonna go because this video is gonna be really long, but I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that it wasn't too depressing. It's pretty depressing for me, I'm not gonna lie, but I have a lot of work to finish here, so I'm gonna do that, and then I will show you guys what everything is looking like, and we can do an update in a couple of weeks and see if any of these are bouncing back at all. So if you enjoyed this, or just to support me and make me feel better, you should give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything from me, especially my live stream notifications. But if I do go live, it's usually a Sunday afternoon around noon. So keep that in mind. If you guys have other times that you think will work better for you, let me know in the comments below and I can do it at a different time. Sundays are just like an easy day for me to sit down and get it done. But yeah, there's a join button if you want to be part of the official plant fam and support my channel even further every month, get some perks, some extra content. If not, there's a super thanks button if you want to donate a few dollars and not have the monthly commitment. Everything is appreciated. I literally cannot do this without you guys. I wasted a lot of money on these Hoyas, so hopefully we can rehab them. It's crazy. Hopefully this video, like, revenue will at least make me some of my money back. But we're just gonna keep on making videos about Urban Leaf Shop and how much we hate them until I've made all of my money back in ad revenue that I paid for these plants. Anyway, I'm gonna go. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you to everybody who reached out and let me know that they had issues. If I skipped you, please leave your story in the comment section below so people can see it. I think it's really important for us to share this stuff with each other, and I think it's really important for us to have each other's backs and empower each other to speak up when you feel like you've been wronged, because so many of us are we're just really nice people, and I feel like a lot of us tend to be pushovers because we have a fear of being annoying or being a burden, and I can assure you that you are not. If you paid for something, you deserve for it to look good, okay? You paid for it. If you're disappointed with it, it's okay. You're allowed to be disappointed, and you're allowed to complain about it. It doesn't make you a Karen, I promise. So anyway, I really love you guys, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye. I've made an absolute mess, but I think it's important to note that this is the size of the container, and then this is the one that I had to put it in. So I'm going to show you guys what I have going on here, but no, not even. This was the container. This was the container the Déquier was in. And this is the size that I had to put it in to reroot it. So I have to reroot all of these the same way that I do with my imports, which is insane to me. So here is the Hoya Jennifer. Got her in this bigger cup. I had to pin her down because she had no roots, like I just showed you. So hopefully she'll reroot for me and come back to life. And then I have my Hoya Déquier I had to move into this little cup because it also was not rooted. Hoya finlaysonii, same situation. Because even though the leaves on this one were fine, so I probably wouldn't have taken it out of the pot, there were no roots. And here's my Ko Chang Island, the most depressing Hoya in my collection, but hopefully it won't die and I can get it to come back. And then here we have the Croniana Black. This also went from a 4-inch container into this, I think this is just under 2 inches, this one, or around 2 inches if I'm not mistaken. This is bad lighting. There you go, now you can really see how sad she is. That's depressing. Look at those leaves. They're so wrinkly. So, yeah, that's my story.